Hello. This morning I was looking at transits to the birth chart of Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and I saw some things that are fascinating, extraordinary. And I've noticed many years ago, I made a YouTube video about this, that the vibration of Neptune and Pluto is so important for making predictions, mundane predictions, what's going to happen politically, what the social trends are, what the artistic trends are. And I knew that it was also involved with Donald Trump's chart. It's one of the reasons why I predicted Donald Trump would become the nominee for the Republican Party. And once he became the nominee, a good chance he would become president. Those predictions became true, even when both the more liberal media, CNN, and the more conservative media like Fox News said Trump will not get the nomination. I saw it in 13 vibration. I looked at it this morning, and it's even more stunning than I realized. The way that the 13 vibe is activating Donald Trump's chart, and what I also noticed this morning, the way that Joe Biden's chart becomes activated in a very similar way with a very similar result. So this is giving us an even better understanding of what happened and a better understanding of how to make these kind of predictions. Okay, let's look at it. What happened? The basic thing that I noticed years ago, and I'm going to fill in a lot more detail in this video, but the basic thing is that in 2011, if we go all the way back to 2011, about 9 years ago, Neptune and Pluto were in 7 vibration. They had been in 7 vibration for a long time. And then Neptune and Pluto transitioned to 13 vibration, and in the summer of 2015, they crossed the bridge to 13. And when Neptune and Pluto go into 13 vibration in 2015, it changes the entire mood. And Donald Trump was in tune and expressing that 13 vibration. It was activating his chart. And I said, oh my goodness, he's in tune with what's going on. When you're in tune with what's going on, you're expressing it, you move to the front, whether we like it or not. Most of you know I am not a fan of Donald Trump, but it doesn't matter what I am a fan of. He's in tune. And whether it's good or bad, we know that good things don't always rise to the top. You know, if that was true, Adolf Hitler would have never become the head of Germany. So you're in tune, even the bad guys and the good guys. And we can disagree about who's the good guy and bad guy or to what extent. But when you're in tune and you're expressing what people are feeling, you rise to the top. That's what I saw was happening. And now, looking at it this morning, I see even more details, more striking things, and how Joe Biden is involved with this, which I didn't know. Okay, so let me show you how the Neptune and Pluto change vibration. I want to go over here and over here. This is what I want. And let me go back to 2011. Don't worry about all my clicking around here. This is what I want to show you. This is the timeline format. It says transit to transit. You can ignore this, whatever it says at the top, because we're looking at transit to transit. What's in the sky for the year 2011. And in February 2011, February 7 was the last time over a long time period, I think it was over 10 years, that Neptune and Pluto were in 7 vibration, 1/7. That's 51, about 51.5 degrees, a little bit less than 51.5 degrees. Neptune and Pluto were about 51.5 degrees apart in February of 2011. Very strong, because it's exact, 7 vibration. Up around 54 to 55 degrees, Neptune and Pluto are in a 2/13 aspect. So what happens is in the summer, because Neptune and Pluto turn retrograde and direct, the angle spreads more out to about close to 54 degrees and starts getting within a degree, I'm using a 1 degree orb, of 2/13. But just barely within a degree orb, so it's weak. You following me? Very simple. Neptune and Pluto are varying from 51.5 to 54 degrees, and that's 51.5 is the 1/7, 1/7 aspect, just under 51.5 degrees, and then gets a little close to that 54 degrees area, picks up a little bit of 13 vibration. And then in 2012 to 2014 is the transition, as the Neptune-Pluto angle is between the 51 degrees and the 54 degrees. It's right in between there, picking up a little bit of 7 and a little bit of 13. Then it reaches the 2/13 angle in the summer of 2015. I'll show it to you. Here's the next year, 2012. The 7 vibration is stronger, and in January, February, it's black, just a little bit of 13 vibration. We move to the next year, 2013. Now they're both about the same darkness of gray. They both have about the same orb. We go to 2014. Notice the 13 vibration now is getting darker. We're moving from 7 vibration to 13 vibration. And in 2015, it crosses the bridge. Neptune and Pluto are now exactly in 2/13 aspect. And Neptune and Pluto are the most important 2 planets. They set the tone. I talk about this in other videos. This is huge. We are now in 13 vibration land. And what happens in June, middle of June 2015, just 3 weeks before this first exact Neptune-Pluto, Donald Trump announces he will run for president. Okay, so that's interesting because it's around the time of this new wave of energy. Okay, but let's go back to our PowerPoint, and I'll show you how it ties in with Donald Trump's chart. And then we're going to see how this ties in with Joe Biden's chart and how it affects the 2020 election. But one thing at a time. So here we are. Donald Trump announces entering the presidential race in June 16, 2015, 3 weeks before the first partile. Partile means exact aspect. So he jumps into the presidential race as this 9-year new wave begins. Neptune and Pluto stay in 2/13 aspect on and off for 9 years. On and off because they're turning retrograde and direct. So they become exact, they go out of orb, and they become exact again for 9 years. Okay, now let's look at a timeline forecast for Trump in June 2015. So as astrologers, we want to know what's going on when someone announces they're running for president, so we look at the timeline forecast. Let's do it. I've already selected these things so I can show them to you quickly. Just bring this up. And here it is, outer planet transits, Jupiter to Pluto transits to Donald Trump's chart. I've removed most aspects. I've left in 13 vibration and these 4 planet resonance things. I'm just showing the things that are relevant to what I'm describing here in this video. Let's look at this big red thing. You see this long red thing? There's no number in it, which means never becomes exact. We look over here to the left. Neptune-Pluto equals Neptune-Pluto. That means that the angular distance between Neptune and Pluto is the same as Donald Trump, who was born in 1944. This means for a lot of people, for some people, born around 1944, the Neptune-Pluto angle was the same, about 54 degrees. Now then it increases to about 60 degrees, where Neptune and Pluto were sextile for about 30 years, and then it moves back to the 13 vibration. So Neptune and Pluto are in 13 vibration around the mid-40s, and then again in 2015 to 2024 for about 9 years they will be. So it returns back to that vibration. But it's not exact, so it's very, very close. So what's happening here? I'll show you by looking at their natal charts, just to make this clear. Here's Donald Trump's natal chart with an aspect grid. Neptune and Pluto are 55 degrees 48 minutes. Might be a little bit small on your screen, but that says 55 degrees, 48 minutes. Here's when he announces that he will run for president. I just did it for 12 noon. I didn't get the exact time on June 16, 2015. I did it for 12 noon in New York City. And the the Neptune-Pluto angle is 55 degrees, 4 minutes. Almost the same angle. That's why when we run a forecast for Donald Trump, we see the Neptune-Pluto equals Neptune-Pluto, because it is in fact the same angle. Okay. Now, let's go back to our PowerPoint. So here it is. I explained it in the second paragraph. Donald Trump's natal chart has Neptune-Pluto 55 degrees, 48 minutes. On June 16, 2015, when he makes the announcement, 55 degrees, 4 minutes. So that's what, a 44-minute difference? Almost the same angle within a degree. So there's a resonance going on. And it's, of course, in the same order. Neptune is 55 degrees ahead of Pluto. And just to let you know exactly what's going on, this is not something that you need to know when you interpret charts, but just to explain what's going on. A 2/13 aspect, if you bring it up on your calculator, it's 55 degrees, 23 minutes. So you see that 2/13 aspect at 55 degrees, 23 minutes is close to Donald Trump's angle of 55 degrees, 48 minutes, and also close to the angular distance between Neptune and Pluto when he makes the announcement. So Neptune and Pluto are in 2/13 aspect when Trump was born and when he makes the announcement. And he makes the announcement the very first time that that Neptune and Pluto come into resonance with his birth chart. Can you feel this? It's like he's got this Neptune, Pluto, which are the key planets for your connection to what's happening in mundane, in fashion, in moods and motivation. And just 3 weeks before the Neptune Pluto comes into the exact vibration of 2/13, which he was born with, and a good number of people born around 1944 had, although you have to be very close to the exact angular distance, and not everybody, he makes the announcement. And what is 13 vibe about? Exceptionalism. Going beyond the mediocre. Trump says he's going to run, and he vows to make the country great again. Now, you may agree with that, and you may disagree with it. You may say, what is he talking about? It wasn't so great back then. But think about it. Make it great again. Go back. We're back to 13 vibration. America, the eagle, the exceptional country, and we're going to become exceptional again. It's the image of the eagle, the 13 colonies, the 13 vibration. Now, you may say, well, it's not true, we weren't exceptional, etc., or maybe it's ego. I'm not talking about whether it's good or bad or whether it's right. I'm talking about what people are feeling and what's motivating them, and why he's talking about make America great again, and why it catches the collective mind. Why the people jump on this. Because when he makes the announcement, it looks rather foolish to a lot of people. But it works. It surprises everybody. Did not completely surprise me, because I saw this. What I didn't know, I did not look at his announcement date in June. And when I looked at that, I went, oh my gosh, this is even more powerful than I realized, that he makes the announcement just 3 weeks before it's exact. And also when Jupiter is trine Uranus on June 16, just like it was in his birth chart. Did I show you that yet? Let me see if I showed you that. Here. I don't think I mentioned it yet. Not only is the Neptune-Pluto transiting equals Neptune-Pluto natal, but Jupiter-Uranus transiting equals Jupiter-Uranus natal on June 19th, 3 days after he makes the announcement. It's faster moving. It's there for only about a week. Right there. Jupiter-Uranus. Well, if you look at Donald Trump's natal chart, let's pull up a bigger wheel so you can see this more clearly. He was born with Jupiter trine Uranus. And when he makes the announcement, Jupiter is trine Uranus. So this adds enthusiasm and a bubbly nature to it, which is going to help. People like to be enthusiastic and positive and optimistic, which obviously is what he does. Maybe he overdoes it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you think it's exaggerated. I don't want to get into that. What I want to get into is that we can see this astrologically, that he is tuning into something with the Neptune-Pluto. He's tuning into that 13 vibration, adding a little additional flavor that will help, and it catches the collective attention. Okay. So what I noticed this morning is how deep this goes and how it connects with Biden's chart, which I will show you in a moment. And again, remember, 13 vibe, exceptionalism, going beyond the mediocre, make the country great again. He's talking about Neptune-Pluto 2/13 when he was born, and that we've returned to it. And the media finds Trump's announcement almost humorous. I read the New York Times was critical of it, and the New York Daily News was very flamboyant in their making fun of Trump. You have to imagine the time. People don't know that he's going to do well, and there's dozens of people who start running for president, and this celebrity decides he's going to run for president, and they make him out to be a buffoon, a big clown. And here's the headline news in the New York Daily News the next day, June 17, 2015. Clown runs for president. They put a clown costume on him, and he insults Mexicans, blah, blah, blah. I'll be the greatest. Same things he's saying from day one that he kept saying. And to everyone's surprise, but not me and some, handful of other people, but in my case, not because I'm a fan of Trump, but because I'm seeing his attunement to the energies, the astrological energies going on. Okay, so back to our PowerPoint. Here's some quotes from ABC News and from New York Daily News, kind of making fun of Trump running. Little do they know he's going to have the last laugh as he becomes the next president. Okay, so I did predict this on January 21st, the day before the Republican primaries began. I predicted that Trump would win the Republican nomination when the news media on both the liberal and conservative sides said that he wouldn't, because I didn't see the announcement so much. What I was looking at was this. Let me show you what I saw. Let's go back to here and the transits. What I saw is that when we head into the next year, 2016, Neptune and Pluto are an exact 2/13 in June and September. The election is in November. This means for several months, from June up till almost the time of the election, Neptune and Pluto are in 2/13, exact twice. This is perfect for Donald Trump, who, quote, wants to make America great again, wants to make us 13 vibration again. He's going to be in the flow of what's happening. And I said, my gosh, people are going to buy this. They're going to be all attuned to this. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be happening around the world. And when Neptune and Pluto are in 13 vibration, people want to be exceptional. They like strong leaders. They often support dictators. Why would you support a dictator? Because they're strong, they lead, they take command, and people don't want to compromise, and they don't want to indulge people. And the Democrats are the party accused of indulging people. It's tough love. Get up, go, invent, discover, be the eagle. That's the message. He's in tune with it. He's going to win. And then as we got closer to the election, he's running against Hillary Clinton. She does not convey that message. She conveys the Democratic platform of cooperation, which is a wonderful thing, but it's not what's happening. And shortly before the election, I said, my gosh, she could lose, despite what the polls said. And she did. Not what I wanted, not what I personally prefer. Let's not get into that. You're looking at the astrology, and it works. Now, I've got some more cool things to show you. Let's get on to this other stuff that I completely didn't know about. Joe Biden. Okay, this is the thing that surprised me. The Republican Party tends to be very strong 13 vibration, carry the 13 vibration message. There are a few Democrats who do. I am surprised, as of this morning, looking at Biden's chart, he has some 13 vibration. So let me show you a bi-wheel of the, let's see, I'm going to show you a bi-wheel of 13 vibe chart on June 16. I already did that. Oh, no, I didn't. Let me show you Trump first, and then I'll show you Biden. Let me show you this bi-wheel. Okay, first let me show you this with Trump. In the inner ring is Trump's 13 vibration chart. Neptune and Pluto are conjunct. 5-degree orb. It's there. 5 degrees solid, 13 vibration. On June 16, 2015, the date he announces he'll run for president, Neptune and Pluto are conjunct with about a 4-degree orb. It's solidly there. And there we have this connection. Neptune and Pluto it have to be the same aspect, 2/13 in the sky and 2/13 in his birth chart. They show up as conjunctions. Now, let's go back to the PowerPoint and let's add Joe Biden. This is the thing that surprised me. Let's do a tri-wheel. And I'm only going to show Sun, Neptune, and Pluto. So we can focus on Neptune and Pluto, and I'm going to throw the Sun in there. You'll see why in a second. Let's look at a tri-wheel of 13 vibration of Biden, Trump, and what's going on now. Okay, so let's go over here. I think I put it over here. Tri-wheel. Yes, this is it. And what date do I currently have here? I happen to have June 16, 2015. Again, okay, so I'm on the date when Trump makes his announcement back in 2015. So there is Joe Biden in the inner ring, Trump in the middle ring, and transits in the outer ring. They're all 13 vibe. These are all 13 vibration charts, not the natal. Here's a surprise that I wasn't really aware of before. I wasn't aware of. I hadn't looked at, or I don't remember looking at it. Biden has some 13 vibe. Surprise! I didn't think he did. He doesn't strike me as a 13 vibe guy. But this is why we do the astrology. It tells us things we don't know. It knows more than we do. We don't just use it to confirm what we already think. It tells us something. He's got some 13 vibe. You may not see it. I didn't see it. He does. His Neptune and Pluto are not very close. They're about 14 degrees apart. Means they're just barely with an orb. There's not really a Neptune-Pluto thing. But his Sun is in between them. It's not exactly in between, not a solid midpoint thing. But his Sun is in 13 vibe to Neptune. It's in 13 vibe to Pluto. That gives him some very strong 13 vibe. Okay? Because he's got the Sun mixing up with it. Not ultra tight, not completely dominant, but he's got some 13 vibe. Surprise. So, this means that Biden can have this kind of leadership. This kind of America is exceptional. It's not what I think of as the first thing with Biden, but this is hopeful for him running for president because we're in Neptune, Pluto, 13 vibe. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is what's going on when Trump makes the announcement. Now let's jump forward. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's go back to my PowerPoint so I don't miss anything. Let's go forward to when Biden makes his announcement. Okay, that's what I looked at this morning. I Googled Joe Biden announces he'll run for president, and let's look at that. He makes the announcement on, I probably have it on the next slide. let's see. He makes the announcement on, I don't mention it here. He makes it on, let's go back to our chart here. I didn't write this down. Okay, I might have to Google it again. Hold on a second. I think it's April 25th, 2019. Joe Biden announces running for president. And he announces it on, announces running for president April 25th, 2019. Yeah, that's what it was. So let's do this. We're going to take this tri-wheel and let me move my picture out of the way here. Get out of the way. Okay, we just put it there. That's fine. Because what I want to do is, let me put it back there a second. I'm going to go to time adjust. And I'm going to change the date. Oh, it's okay. I can leave this over here. I'm going to change the date to his announcement date, April 25, 2019, and apply the date. And of course, the inner ring remains the same. That's Biden. Outer ring remains the same. That's Trump. And look what happened. Neptune and Pluto are still in 13 vibration. They remain in 13 vibration. And on the day that Biden announced he's running for president, Neptune and Pluto are conjunct his sun, Neptune, Pluto. Wow. So, it tells us what the person is feeling and thinking when they make the announcement. Biden is feeling not so different from Trump. He's feeling like America is great. It's exceptional. It's wonderful. We are the United States of America, the eagle, the pride, and I'm going to run again. I am going to do it. So he's feeling the same way. Okay? So he's feeling like, you Republicans, you don't have a monopoly on being patriots and being proud of how strong and wonderful and exceptional America is. There's kind of some ego involved in that. I'm the same way. And so he makes the announcement when Neptune and Pluto are right there. Neptune at 22 Libra, Pluto at 0 Scorpio, and Neptune is between his sun and Neptune, and Pluto is between his sun and Pluto. It's squeezed right in there when he makes the announcement. Now this is in 13 vibration. It's moving very fast. Let me show you. If I go back, let's go back 3 months at a time. 3 months. And let me go back a year. I'll go back 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go back, let me go back 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am now on April 25th, 2017. Neptune and Pluto are over here in Leo and Virgo. You can see what's happening. They're going to creep up little by little over 2 years and be conjunct his sun, Neptune, Pluto. And when they crawl and creep up over 2 years and conjunct this configuration, he runs for president. And everything's moving 13 times faster and 13 times farther. So, we think Neptune and Pluto is really slow, but they're moving 13 times faster in the 13 vibration chart. So they spread apart and they move around a lot. So let's watch it from April 2017, 3 months later. We're now in summer 2017. Neptune and Pluto, nowhere near his Neptune and Pluto. We'll move to autumn 2017, very far away. Now we're in winter 2018, still far away. Spring, by spring, April 2018, 1 year before he makes the announcement, they're starting to get a little bit close, but still too far away. We want them within about 8 degrees. They're not there yet. Now, summer, they're retrograding back away. Fall, they're very far away. Early 2019, winter, Pluto is starting to get close. They're still not there. And there they are. For the first time, Neptune and Pluto, for who knows how many years, like for, probably the first time ever, Neptune and Pluto in 13 vibration activate Biden's Sun, Neptune, Pluto when he announces he's running for president. What we're seeing here is that Neptune, Pluto in 13 vibration is tracking what's happening to Trump. He announces with strong Neptune, Pluto going on 13 vibration as we head into the election in 2016, that Neptune, Pluto becomes very strong. He rises to the top. Then 4 years later, Neptune and Pluto start activating Biden's chart on the day that they first activate. Well, within a few weeks, right for that few weeks when Neptune and Pluto is activating his chart, he announces he will run. Now let's watch it. This is April 2019. The election is going to be about a year and a half later. Now watch this. It's fascinating. I'm going to go from, we'll call it spring. So we're going to go about a year and a half to the election. And this is fascinating. Summer 2019, they're moving away. Neptune is still there. Pluto has moved away. Autumn, they've both moved away. So it was only when he announced that they were on, and then they move away. Transiting Neptune and Pluto move away. Now they move back a little bit, but Neptune and Pluto are not close to each other. So they move out of 13 vibration. Remember, it's like an accordion moving in and out. Neptune and Pluto are moving in and out of 13 vibration. They're moving closer and farther away from his Sun, Neptune, Pluto. So at this moment, we are, where are we? We were in early 2020. We're only 11 months from the election, and they've moved pretty far away. Well, Pluto is there. Pluto's on the Sun, Neptune, but Neptune isn't. And then we go to spring. Now, they've moved way far ahead. We move to summer. They're still far away. We move to October, and they've moved back. They are now back. Neptune at 0 Scorpio, between the Sun and Pluto. Pluto at 23 Libra, between the Sun and Neptune. This is amazing. What has happened is that when Biden announces he's running for president, transiting Neptune and Pluto in 13 vibe are on Biden's Sun, Neptune, Pluto. He's feeling like, I'm going to run. I'm going to do this. I need to do it. America's special. I can be that special person for America. I'm going to do it. It moves away from it, and he gets kind of quiet during the campaign that COVID is going on, and people are making fun of him for hiding and away and everything. Then as we get very close to the election in October, Neptune and Pluto move back, which means that he will become a strong leader. He's helped by Obama, who gives very strong recommendations. He does well. I thought he did well in the debates. I think Trump did well too. He did well. He didn't fumble around. He didn't look like he's foggy and he's, losing his wits, which a lot of people were concerned about. He does well. Now look at this. Let's put in the date of November 3rd, 2020, Election Day. Apply date. The Neptune and Pluto are right there helping Biden. And notice where the Sun is. The Sun is on Trump's Sun. It's only there for about a day. We want it within about 8 degrees. It's moving 13 degrees a day. About a day to a day and a half. Sun is on Trump's Sun, meaning that Trump gets a surge on Election Day. Just that specific day. And by coincidence, Trump voters are disinclined to vote by mail. They show up on Election Day. And if we only use the votes on Election Day, it's pretty clear Trump would have won. So he gets that boost on Election Day. But Biden has a big boost heading into the election, just like Biden did, just like Trump did in 2016. Bottom line is that Neptune and Pluto in 13 vibration are timing exactly with the main events. They're timing exactly with the announcements and the elections. And I find that time, that month leading up to the election, is critically important, not just election day. A lot of astrologers emphasize election day, election day, election day. I emphasize the month leading up to it. That's what I find is really important. Election day is also important, but if you get a boost on election day, it's not necessarily enough. It's important, though. Trump does get a big boost on election day. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Bottom line, Neptune and Pluto, 13 vibration, describing everything that's happening. So what did I predict for this election? I said the election will be too close to call for a few days. And here's the, I made a video about Kamala Harris, and at the end of it, I state my prediction for the 2020 election. This is, I think, a few months before the election, that it's going to probably be too close to call, because I can see that that Trump is carrying the Neptune-Pluto 13 vibration message, but he's not doing a great job at it, in the sense that the coronavirus is continuing, he's denying it. So this leads to one of my last points, which I have here. Important. What happens depends on what we do. I don't think we can predict who's going to win just by looking at the transits. We have to see what people do with those transits, how they express it, and what occurs. If the pandemic was not getting stronger, I believe Trump would have won the election. The fact that the pandemic increased and increased as we headed towards election day works against Trump. He's a great leader. He would have taken care of it. He seemed to be counting on the fact that it would kind of disappear and there would be a vaccine or something would happen. He didn't have good luck with that, and that really, really hurt. Otherwise, he could have easily won. Also, he went to great extremes in denying things. He still did amazingly well despite all that. He could have easily won the election if he would have just handled that 13 vibe a little more in a refined way. He could have more easily won. Okay, I hope you can follow what I'm saying. Regardless of what your opinion is, you may be of the opinion that he did win and the election was stolen. That's fine. I'm just talking about the balance of the votes. He would have won more votes had he been lucky with the coronavirus, and if he had handled things a little more sensitively. Depends on what you do. Depends on where you campaign. Depends on where you invest the money. The people in politics spend a lot of time and energy working on these things for good reason, and they make a difference. All the astrology tells us is what behavior will work. And what will work for Biden is to stand strong and be a strong leader, because that's what's being asked and being activated in his chart. All Neptune-Pluto 13 vibration. Okay, so the conclusions. Neptune and Pluto set the cultural tone. I talk more about this in other videos. Why they do. For now, just accept that they do. Being in tune. Neptune and Pluto are at 13 vibration for 9 years. Being in tune with that, if that activates your chart, as it does for Trump, as it does for Biden, you can become like a channel, a vehicle, an expression of this collective energy. And if you do it well, you will succeed. Oh, and by the way, I guess I didn't show you this. I think I mentioned it in the videos, but if we look at this Neptune and Pluto, and let's move 1 year into the future, 1 year. Right now I'm in November 2020. This Neptune-Pluto moves up to Trump's Neptune-Pluto 2 years from now. So we go 1 year, almost there, go another year, and they're in this area. They're going to retrograde back and forth over his Neptune-Pluto. This tells us Trump is coming back 2 years from now. He's lost the election, even though he's denying that, and it's Biden's going to become president. He lost, whether you think it was stolen or whatever you want to think. He lost. He's going to be out, but he's not disappearing. How do I know? because the astrology tells me, as long as he doesn't become, seriously ill or disabled, I mean, people die. I don't know everything from the astrology, but if he's healthy and functioning and so on, he's going to have a huge following in these coming years, because Neptune-Pluto is going to move on his Neptune-Pluto and away from Biden's. That doesn't mean Biden's going to sink. It means he's going to have to, do the right things. But Trump will be there in the background. You can also make a fool of yourself. He's going to be in the news. He's going to be highlighted, for good or for bad, whatever. But he's not going away. Absolutely not. He's going to be front and center. In some ways more than ever, because Neptune and Pluto will be on his Neptune-Pluto. I've made so many predictions in the past, like when I predicted that Trump would get the nomination and things like that. At the time, people said, oh, I don't know about that. That's not going to happen. It happens. So we'll see again. If around 2022, Trump is still around, he won't be in office, but having a big impact some way, from the outside of the government offices. So let's see if I had anything else to say here. So many of my predictions have come true about in the past. One prediction I made that did not come true is I predicted there would be an upset on the Democratic side in 2016 and that Bernie would beat Hillary. Despite, again, I picked two upsets. I said upset on the Republican side, Trump's going to come to the front. Upset on the Democratic side, Bernie's going to come to the front. So what I should have just said to make my prediction accurate is that Bernie would do much better than expected. The Democratic National Committee had already picked Hillary. It was almost impossible for Bernie to win. He did better than expected. And notice that today, Bernie's still active and effective in government. Hillary is not. So, in a way, he did kind of win in the sense that he's still influencing things, and Hillary's more on the outside than Bernie is. But my literal prediction was wrong. Hillary got the nomination, not Bernie. So predictions aren't always going to be right, and we learn from each one. I think we get the basic concept almost always correct, and we learn a little bit more each time. And we will never get it always right, even if our astrology is perfect, because it depends on exactly the decisions people make and how they express the potential. So my last sentence, predictions are not always correct, but nearly always we see what the winning strategy is. Using these ideas, we could have enabled Trump to win or make it the Biden win even stronger. You can see what, you're in 13.5, you see what the needs are, you see what the momentum is, you see what will work, and you see how to do it in the right way. Okay, because it's so clear. You have it drawn out for you. It's not just this amorphous, vague thing that you're just observing. You're seeing the energetic patterns beneath the behavior and the activities that are going on. Okay, well, I wanted to share that with you, just how the main point, I think, or one of the take-home points, is that when they made the announcements to run for president, both Biden and Trump, how their charts were activated with exactly the emphasis of what's strong now. And they made the announcement, and both of them ended up being the candidates and running and doing well. So if you make that announcement with the right feeling of the times that captures the collective mood, which is what both of them did, and they both did very well, with Trump winning the 2016, Biden winning the 2020, and coming to the foreground. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for listening. God bless. Namaste.